Are you neglecting your number one retirement asset? Welcome. I'm your host, Stanley Bronstein. Today we're going to talk about retirement. But before we do, let me make something very clear. In this video, I'm not giving you financial advice, and this video is not about financial investments such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, insurance products, tax strategies, estate planning, or how you should manage your money. Those are important subjects, but they're not what we're talking about today. As an attorney and CPA, I've discussed these topics with my clients many times over the years. Instead, we're going to talk about the number one neglected area of retirement planning I've seen over the years: themselves, the person who has to live the investment. Most people understand that retirement requires financial planning. They know they need to think about income, savings, expenses, healthcare costs, inflation, taxes, and how long their money might last. That matters. It matters a lot. But retirement is not only a financial event. Retirement is a life event. And the quality of that life will depend not only on your financial decisions, but also on how wisely you use your limited time, energy, and resources on getting from where you are to where you want to be. You have limited time, you have limited energy, you have limited resources, and the older you get, the more obvious that becomes. That is not meant to be depressing, it is meant to be clarifying. When you're younger, it's easy to live as if time is unlimited. It's easy to waste energy, recover, and do it again. It's easy to assume you can always fix things later. But as we move through midlife and toward retirement, the truth becomes harder to ignore. Time matters, energy matters, resources matter, and how we allocate them determines the quality of the life we're building. I understand this personally. You may not believe it, but at one point in my life, I weighed 367 pounds. I had built professional success as an attorney and a CPA, but I had not taken care of myself. I was successful in some ways, but I was badly out of alignment in others. And at age 50, I finally told myself the truth. And that truth was that I was committing what I've since come to call slowicide. I was slowly eating and drinking myself to death. I had changed how I ate. I quit drinking alcohol. I started walking every day. I rebuilt my health naturally without drugs or surgery, and altogether I've lost more than 220 pounds. That experience taught me something I will never forget. You can have a huge list of accomplishments and still be massively off course in other areas of your life. You can build a career, a reputation, a business, a practice, a portfolio, or a retirement account and still neglect the person who has to carry all of it. It also taught me that I am way more powerful than I ever imagined. I am capable of doing so many things I used to think were too difficult or even impossible. Even more importantly, it taught me that if I'm more powerful than I ever imagined, so are you. I am no more special than you, and you are no more special than me. The truth is, we are all special, each and every one of us. It also taught me that change is possible, but only when you become willing to tell yourself the truth and then take appropriate, permanent action on that truth. I often say that permanent transformation begins with learning to tell it like it is. So, let's tell it like it is. You can have money and still be miserable. You can have a retirement account and still have no purpose. You can have free time and still waste your days. You can stop working and still feel exhausted. You can leave a career and not know who you are without it. You can be financially prepared and personally unprepared. That is the gap I want to talk about. The gap between preparing your financial investments for retirement and preparing yourself for retirement. Because retirement does not automatically create a meaningful life. It simply creates a different life. And if you're not intentional, that different life can become smaller, less structured, less purposeful, and less energizing than you expected. So the question is not only, can I afford to retire? That's an important question, but it's not the only one you should be asking. The deeper question is, who do I want to be and what am I willing to do to make that happen? An even more important question is, am I using my time, energy, and resources in a way that will create and support the kind of life I actually want to live? Let's start with time. Time is not just something you have. Time is something you spend. Every day you're given 24 hours. That's 1,440 minutes. That's 86,400 seconds. And one way or another, you're going to spend them. The only question is whether you're spending them consciously or unconsciously. In retirement, this becomes especially important because one of the things work gives people is structure. You may have complained about that structure. You may have wanted freedom from it, but that structure still served a purpose. It told you when to get up. It told you where to go. It gave shape to your week. It gave you problems to solve. It gave you people to interact with. It gave you responsibilities. And retirement came, and suddenly much of that structure is gone. That can feel wonderful at first. Over time, if you do not replace external structure with internal structure that you intentionally and consciously create, you will probably begin to drift. You may wake up without a plan. You may fill time instead of using time. You may react to the day instead of directing the day. That is dangerous because time does not need your permission to pass. It passes whether you use it well or not. So, one of the first questions for retirement is, what do I want my time to be used for? Not just what do I want to do, but what do I want my time to be used for? Do I want to use it to improve my health, to deepen my relationships, to serve others, to learn, to create, to travel, to mentor, to simplify, to heal, to grow, to finally become more of the person I always had the potential to become? If you do not consciously and intentionally answer that question for yourself, someone or something else will spend your time for you. Distraction will spend it. Television will spend it. The internet will spend it. Other people's demands will spend it. Old habits will spend it. Comfort will spend it. Fear will spend it. That is why time must be managed, responsibly managed, not hoarded, not worshiped, but managed and used wisely. Now let's talk about energy. Time is the container, but energy is the fuel. You can have time and still not have the energy to use it well. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make. They think retirement will solve everything because they will finally have more time. But what if you have more time but less energy? What if you have more free hours but your body is tired or sick? What if your health has been neglected? What if your sleep is poor? What if your nutrition is working against you? What if you finally stop working but you're too depleted to enjoy the freedom you worked so hard to create? That is why your health is so important. I always say your health is your wealth. How many people do you know who have plenty of money and plenty of time, but are in such poor health they can't enjoy it? Your health is your wealth is not just a slogan. It's meant to be a statement of reality, your reality. Your health determines how much of your retirement you can actually experience. Your energy determines how much of your time you can use. Your mobility determines where you can go. Your strength determines what you can do. Your clarity determines how well you can choose. Your habits determine whether you expand or decline. Many people spend decades building financial resources while spending down their physical and emotional resources. They trade health for money. They trade peace for achievement. They trade sleep for productivity. They trade relationships for success. And they reach retirement and realize they preserved the account but depleted the person. That is not a criticism. It's an invitation to tell yourself the truth. Because once you see a thing, you can change that thing. Your energy is a daily budget. You wake up with a certain amount of usable energy, then you spend it. You spend it through movement, you spend it through worry, you spend it through food choices, you spend it through conversations, you spend it through decisions, you spend it through clutter, conflict, resentment, distraction, and overcommitment. Some things drain energy, some things restore energy. Wisdom is learning the difference. In this next chapter of your life, one of your most important jobs is to identify your energy leaks. Where is your energy being drained unnecessarily? Is it being drained by poor food, by alcohol, by lack of movement, by too much sitting, by poor sleep habits, by unhealed resentment, by constant news consumption, by social media, by people who leave you depleted, by saying yes when you need to say no, by living without a clear daily structure? If you want retirement to be a chapter of renewal rather than decline, you must protect your energy. Now let's talk about resources. Resources include money, but they're not limited to money. Your resources include your home, your relationships, your skills, your experience, your reputation, your knowledge, your health, your attention, your habits, and your ability to make good decisions. You're carrying a lifetime of resources into your retirement. The question is, will you use them wisely? Many people think retirement means stepping away from usefulness. I disagree. I believe purpose does not retire. A job may end, a title may change, business may be sold, a career may slow down or stop, but purpose does not have to retire. Contribution does not have to retire. Growth does not have to retire. Excellence does not have to retire. In fact, for many people, retirement can become one of the most meaningful chapters of their life, but only if they approach it intentionally. You have experience, you have lessons, you have perspective, you have wisdom, you have scars, you have stories, you have knowledge younger people need. You have the ability to serve in new ways, but that will not happen automatically. It requires intention. It requires standards. It requires stewardship. It requires asking yourself, what do I still have to give? Who can I help? What have I learned that should not be wasted? What do I want to build now? What do I want my life to stand for in this chapter? What part of me still needs to grow? This is where something called the way of excellence comes in. The way of excellence is the personal transformation system I created. I often describe it as a human operating system. Think of it as software for the soul. It's a way of thinking, choosing, acting, growing, recovering, relating, and living with greater truth, responsibility, clarity, discipline, and alignment. And those things matter deeply in retirement because retirement can expose what has been hidden. If you've been avoiding your health, retirement may expose it. If you've been avoiding your relationships, retirement may expose it. If your identity was built entirely around work, retirement may expose it. If your days had structure only because your job provided it, retirement may expose it. If you've spent years postponing your own growth, retirement may expose it. But exposure is not failure. Exposure is opportunity. Once you see the truth, you can begin to work with it. So here are three questions I want you to ask yourself. Question number one, What part of my retirement is financially prepared, but personally underprepared? Maybe the money has been planned, but the health has been lost. Maybe the house is paid for, but the purpose is unclear. Maybe the investments are organized, but the daily structure is weak. Maybe the estate plan is done, but the body is asking for attention. Maybe the calendar is open, but the person is drifting. Second, where am I leaking time, energy, or resources? Be honest, not harsh, honest. Where is time disappearing? Where is energy being drained? Where are resources being wasted? Where am I reacting instead of choosing? Where am I living by default instead of by design? Third, what is one standard I need to raise now? Not someday, but now. Maybe it is a standard for walking, maybe nutrition, maybe sleeping, maybe alcohol, maybe spending, maybe screen time, maybe relationships, maybe service, maybe learning, maybe planning the week, maybe keeping promises to yourself. Do not try to change everything at once. That often fails. Start with one standard, one clear standard that protects your future. For example, say, I walk 20 minutes every day. I plan my week every Sunday. I eat food that gives me energy instead of stealing it. I stop saying yes to things that drain my life. I spend my mornings on what matters. I reconnect with people I care about. I use part of my time to help others. I choose creation over constant consumption. Small standards, repeated consistently, create large changes. That is how you build the next chapter. Not through fantasy, not through temporary motivation, not through waiting until everything feels easy. You build it through repeated daily allocation. Where your time goes, where your energy goes, where your attention goes, where your resources go, that is where your life goes. So as you think about retirement, yes, think about money. Yes, work with qualified financial professionals. Yes, plan responsibly, but be sure to remember yourself along the way because you are the one who has to live the retirement. You are the one who will wake up in the life you're creating. You are the one who will use those days. You are the one who will either expand or shrink. You are the one who will either drift or direct. You are the one who will either merely pass time or use time. The number one most neglected retirement asset is you. Your health, your energy, your clarity, your purpose, your standards, your willingness, your discipline, your relationships, your ability to keep growing. Retirement should not be a slow retreat from life. It can be a deliberate movement into greater truth, greater health, greater purpose, greater contribution, and greater excellence. But only if you choose to make it that. So I will leave you with this question. Are you preparing only your money for retirement? Or are you also preparing yourself? That is the real work. That is the opportunity. That is the way of permanent transformation. If this message speaks to you, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. New videos are released on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you can learn more or contact me at my website, thewayofexcellence.com.